So we were learning Kubernetes, right? Today we will learn Kubernetes on AWS, which is nothing but EKS service. EKS is a Elastic Kubernetes Service, which is a paid service, which is a managed service. What is this managed service? Like if you create your cluster manually, like we did till now, we have to manage the control plane, high availability of the master node and all, right? But now this would be taken care by EKS service, right? I'll walk you through that. Yeah. So this is our EC2 console. I mean, AWS console, and we are on EC2 service, right? You can check here for EKS. So if you search here again, like you can see regional wise EKS service, and you can go here, click on create cluster and get started creating a cluster from this management console. Like we created EC2 instances, you can create this way. This is one way of creating EKS cluster. There are multiple ways you can create an EKS cluster. Okay. Just okay. So there are multiple ways. One is from this management console. Another one is using AWS CLI. So you can create it anyways. And if you see here control plane itself will be charged separately. Do you see EKS pricing? So this is a managed service, a paid service, which will be charged. Like EKS managed service will be a paid service. Apart from it, the worker nodes you use, the load balance you use, all of that will be charged separately. So if you want, you can see the pricing here. Actually, the pricing will be like, yeah, here it is, standard Kubernetes version 0.10 per cluster per hour. So that is the standard charging, and again, depending on the region, depending on the instances you choose. Again, worker nodes will be charged separately. Here you will not see a separate node as a control plane. Okay, control plane will not be seen. Master node will be running at the back end. Only you will see the worker nodes and you will see the CKS cluster. So that is how it is. And coming back, so this is your EKS service. This is where you will see your cluster. Okay, so you can create clusters in many ways. I'm showing a cluster in a different way through EKS CTL. What is EKS CTL? Just if you go here, get started with, no, actually documentation. You have great documentation on AWS, like it offers documentation, which is very good. You can go here for EKS. It was all showing for. Okay, here you can see all the content, all the table of the content on the left-hand side, all the AWS. And here, if you see, go to the setup, create a cluster, right, with EKS-CTL. What is this EKS-CTL? This is one of the ways. See, you can create from the console, you can use CLI, and this is the other way I'm going to use using EKS-CTL. EKS-CTL is the Elastic Kubernetes Service command line utility, which is used to manage your cluster. With this, you can create your clusters efficiently. So this is one of the utility, like you have kubectl. This is for creating a cluster. So you can use this, let's say if you are using Linux or, okay, which type of node groups you want. It's EKS CTL create cluster, name of the cluster, and the region in which you want to create the cluster. This cluster creation will take some time, like it will take almost like 20 minutes or so. So I have started, but it doesn't execute. Okay. It will take some time to create the cluster. Almost like 20 minutes. So I just ran the command. I'll explain the command. Okay. See, this is the command. EKS CTL create cluster. Name of the cluster is EKS example. Some version of your Kubernetes API. The region. Till this much, I think it's clear for all, right? Just the name, version, and the region. On top of it, you can have node groups. What is a node group? Node group is nothing but a bunch of the nodes, a bunch of similar nodes. Similar nodes means, what is meant by similar nodes? Nodes which are coming from the same AMI and the type. Somehow it's failing. Unsupported Kubernetes version. Okay, I got it. Actually, this version is not available now. Let us skip the version. It will create a new cluster. Cluster with the latest version should be fine. Okay. Mm, I'll explain you the command on flags. Let me give another name because it already tried with this. It was giving error. Oh, sorry. I thought of giving test. That's okay. So there's a typo. Name is EKS test cluster. Region is AP South 1. Node group is, you can have any number of node groups in a cluster. Any number of node groups means group of similar nodes. You may have group of Ubuntu nodes. You may have group of EC2, Linux, CentOS nodes and so on. So node group is a group of similar nodes. Similar nodes, when do you call them similar? When they are coming from same AMI and same type. So you can have any number of node groups as a worker node. This is node group 1. Type is T2 medium, right? You can give any type. So I'm giving T2 medium. I did not give the AMI. I did not give the AMI means it will use the default standard optimized EKS optimized AMI. There is some AMI called EKS optimized AMI, which comes with a kubelet, Docker, whichever compatible and required for EKS cluster. Right? So that's about node group. You can have multiple node groups. I'm going to have only one node group, which is of type T2 medium and which uses default AMI because I did not mention the AMI. And it will get started with one node. Then you have other flags like minimum and maximum nodes. If you want to scale in and scale out, you can expand them to minimum 1 nodes or maximum 4 nodes. That's the limits when it's scaling out or scaling in. Okay, and then managed flag is, that's what is a managed cluster. So the cluster components, the cluster or everything on these are the configurations of your worker node. Like I told you, master will be running at the back end. You don't have to do anything for the master node. Okay, so that's the cluster. So this cluster creation will take some time and it will be creating a cluster by name EKS test cluster in AP South 1 region with one node group with this type T2 medium with one node. When it is scaling out or scaling in, it can scale into 1 and scale out to 4, which is all right. So here you can see creating a cluster slowly. Okay. So this is also getting created. Let me. Yeah, actually, you can do it from UI also, but from the CLI should be always preferred. This is your cluster getting created. Node group is not yet ready. It will create. By the way, um, this is your EC2 instance, here an instance should be coming up. You know what is an AMI, right? When you launch instance, this is where you will see the Amazon mission image. I am not specifying it, means it will use EKS optimized AMI, which will come with all the components that's required for EKS. Okay, this cluster creation will take some time and we should be seeing our cluster very soon up and running. And yeah, it will create the worker nodes. And the control plane is nothing but which will be managed by the EKS cluster. So here, if you see the details and compute, here you are seeing zero node groups, but soon node groups should be coming up. It's still getting created. We are using EKS-ETL to create one. EKS-ETL, create a cluster, and the node group is getting ready. See here, wait for control node plane to become ready. Create, manage node group 1. So it will get started with the cluster very soon. Okay, meanwhile, I'm starting my Jenkins server. Why I'll tell you. Let me start my Jenkins server. This is the Jenkins server we created. I'm starting this Jenkins server because I want to integrate this in the CI/CD pipeline. Also, like when we are integrating it in the CI/CD pipeline, from Jenkins, you may run the kubectl commands, or else we may run it from the any slave, right? So here I'm using master itself. So from here, we should be able to connect. Let the cluster get started. Any questions from anyone?
Pratik, can you explain node group 1, node group in the command?
This
Can you
command.
explain node group? Yeah, node group. Yeah, that is our.
Node group is a bunch of similar nodes. You can have any number of node groups. Here I have created one node group, which is of type T2.medium, and it is coming from EKS optimized AMI. I did not specify the AMI, so it will be coming from the default AMI, which is EKS optimized AMI. You can have any number of node groups.
Okay, so in that node groups, we'll have minimum 1 to 4, right?
One node. When it is scaling in, it will scale to 1. When it is scaling
Four.
up, it will scale up to 4.
Oh,
Okay, let the cluster get started. And by the way, I'm creating this cluster from my laptop. You may create it from your local machine, from your own laptop, or else you can choose some other, create new EC2 instance and create a cluster and connect from there. It is up to you. So I am creating cluster from my local system, means obviously I can connect from my local system. I don't have to do anything additionally for it. Right? And also, like if you remember, whenever you create a cluster, a kube config file will be created, which is for authentication. So that will help you connect from the same machine. But what if I want to connect from this another server, let's say a Jenkins server or whatever. Here are Jenkins server, because later on I'm going to run CI/CD, it will also help me. So let us see how do you connect from your Jenkins server. Let's connect to, means first how to connect to a Kubernetes cluster. from another server. So this is the server actually from where we are creating. Let's go for Jenkins server and see how to connect from there. Okay, so first of all, to connect to the cluster, you remember, right? kubectl should be there, so which is not available here. Let us install that kubectl. You can install kubectl in different ways. We'll do that once again. Okay, let me download that kubectl. You can download from this. This is all available in the official documentation of AWS. I'll show you that also. Just come here. Whenever you are creating cluster, you have this cluster creation, right? Creating EKS cluster and all. If you just go to, you can find it anywhere. KCTL, delete your cluster nodes, create a cluster. Set up the cluster. Go to setup EKSCTL and kubectl. See, check if this is installed by running kubectl version command. If it is not there in the Mac, Linux, okay, Linux different distributions, Windows you have. So you can go here and choose the one you need. Let's say I'm installing on Linux, Amazon EC2. So these are the commands. On Mac also means on your laptop also you can have it. To connect to the same cluster after creating, these are the commands to install kubectl. Everything is available in the official page. That's where I'm running these commands from. Provide executable permissions from the binary and move it to USR local bin kubectl folder. Now, if you try kubectl version or simply kubectl command, you should see it is available. Okay, because cluster is not there, it is giving you this. You may run kubectl version short client. We'll show you the client version. Okay, this is how it is showing, which is good. Now let's also see if cluster is ready. It is still getting created. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. kubectl is ready on my Jenkins server or whichever other machine you want to connect from. And another thing you have to see is AWS will be already installed. You remember, right? We run AWS configure so that to authenticate to AWS account. You can also check that CLI version. It is 1.8, but better you have CLI version 2. Okay, you can also upgrade that. Again, those commands are also available on the same AWS page. Here itself, you should see AWS CLI installation, setup AWS CLI. Okay, here you can see and install the version 2. Actually, I have downloaded the zip file. Unzip this and install it. I think I'm doing as a root user. Okay. Actually, it will not install. It will say like it is available. Let me update and install. Maybe let me check AWS version. You can see, no, it is not updated. Just a second. Actually, we have installed it in USR local bin. Let me check the version from there. You can see it 2.27.18, right? But if you just run the default one, you're not seeing that version. You can restart this machine so that it will be updated. Let me launch it on a new tab. Or restart the machine. Let's get the you can see that version 2 updated. Good. Now we want this latest version. We want kubectl. And we don't need EKSCTL here because we are not creating from here. Already cluster is being created from our local. If you want to create from here, then you can install it. Now, how do you connect to this cluster? Cluster is not yet ready, but if you want to connect to the cluster, let's say I'm trying to connect as EC2 user. Here you should have a directory called .cube, like .docker config, right? Go here, create a file called config, right? And put the file which will be generated in the local machine from where you are creating. You can do that. That is one way. You have to manually create this kube config file by cropping from your local machine. In local machine, whenever you are creating cluster, in local machine, whenever you create a cluster, it will create .cube file. I'm more comfortable this way. Yeah. So go to .cube. Do you see .cube is already created, right? That will be generated and you will see .config file. See here, this is actually it's not yet created. Only minikube one means by default it will create because cluster is not yet ready. You are not seeing it. But once cluster is ready, you will see that kube config file updated. Okay, once that kube config file is updated, you can copy that kube config file into this EC2 instance so that you can connect from here as well. That is one of the ways. Meanwhile, let's see our cluster from the UI. Okay. So it's still not, node group is ready. NG1 is the node group name. I have given NG1 is the node group name. Yeah, node group 1 and it has used, see, I told you, right? AMI version, it is the version of AMI it's creating. If you want, you can go to node group 1. You can click on nodes. You can see nodes are not yet ready. They should still come up. It may take some time, like I told you. Actually, I started the cluster some time back, but due to some errors, it got stuck up and it's still creating. So you should also see those worker nodes here. Okay, let's wait. It's not yet ready. Let it get created. This is one thing. And okay, so this cluster will be ready. But once cluster is ready, okay, let's say I'm able to connect from Jenkins server, I should deploy, I can run some kubectl apply and deployment file. But more important thing is how do you deploy from the Jenkins, sorry, from CI/CD, right? Like from the Jenkins file. So let us also prepare a Jenkins file for that. Do you remember which project we are using? I mean, which branch? I mean, in
I,
address book, which branch are we using? Anyone remember?
I think it's Docker demo.
Okay. Okay, Docker demo. Let me create a new branch. Git checkout -b Kubernetes demo from Docker demo. Okay, I'll create a new branch from here so that it wouldn't be affected. Okay, now I am on the new branch. So, which is good. Let me correct everything here. Kubernetes demo. Okay, all of this remains same. Let's go to our Jenkins file. What makes a difference, we'll see. So let us go from the big, like I already told you, parameters is optional. We are not using it. Compile stage, if you want, you can remove it. Just for learning purpose, I left them as it is. But these are the actual stages. Dockerizing it and pushing it to Docker Hub and then deploying it on some deploy. So let it be for, as a test reference. Now I would like to deploy it on Kubernetes cluster. Now we'll add a different stage here. Okay. This
What is
is,
this Jenkins file, Preeti? I didn't get.
who is this?
What is this Jenkins file?
What is this Jenkins file?
What is it? Yeah. What is there in this? Can you say again?
Okay. In the Jenkins file, we have CI/CD pipeline in different stages. Compile stage, code review stage, unit test stage, containerize stage, and deploy stage. We created this in the Docker classes. Anyone, same question? Okay, how many of you have completed hands-on on this? No one have completed hands-on on this? Okay, there was some hand raised. Let me allow them. Yes. Please go on. I have unmuted you guys. Agent, any, and then steps, script, right? As such agent. Do you remember all of this? Anyway, I'm not running on slave. I'll run directly on a master. I have Guru have completed it. Good to know. So here, see, sh into the deploy server and run kubectl apply command. Right. Anyhow, I'm not shing into any machine. I'll directly run kubectl apply commands on master itself. If you want, you can run from a slave also. Am I making sense? Is this okay? Are these commands good? From master on Jenkins master, I'm running these commands so that the manifest file will be applied. Let me know if this is clear for you or not. Anyhow, I'm adding few more things to check the AWS version because I just want to make sure it's on the right version. Access key, you might be setting manually on the Jenkins server, but I want to do it from the script here. And this is the command to create your kubeconfig file. Another way to create kubeconfig file, get nodes. I'll tell you what this command is in few minutes. And this is how it is. I'll place the manifest files in a separate folder called Kubernetes manifest. Within this, the actual manifest file, Java maven app.yml. Okay.
Preeti, can you go to once Jenkins file?
Let me add the content. I'm using a deployment manifest file. Okay. 2 replicas. Secret name is Docker key. Image name is parameterized because I want to deploy the image that is currently built. I don't want to deploy any random image. Okay. And then the service. Right? I believe there is nothing new except this one. How do you replace it? I'll replace it with a utility called envsubst. Envsubst will replace the environment variables with actual values. So which file it should replace? Envsubst, this file, and pipe it, means give that as an input to kubectl apply command, and then checking what are all deployed. That is the last stage. Is this stage clear for everyone?
What is this updating means? Creating new or just updating?
Which one?
EKS update kubeconfig.
This will create a kubeconfig file. I'll show that command. Okay, I'll manually first show that command and we'll run it. 2, 3, stages, somewhere additional paths. This is an AWS CLI command which will create a kubeconfig file on Jenkins server or from whichever server you are running these steps. Instead of you manually creating kubeconfig file, copying from the original, you can do this. That's a command. Let me know if any questions there in the script.
So from this kube config, we are going to create the cluster after getting the kube config, or like we are directly creating the cluster from this pipeline. Sorry, from this script pretty.
Cluster already we are creating the cluster manually because it's not, you don't need to create a cluster in the pipeline. Every time you don't need a new cluster. So we are creating cluster manually this way. Once we are creating a cluster, you can connect to this cluster from anywhere once you create kubeconfig file. Okay. Instead of doing it manually, creating kubeconfig file and connecting the cluster is what I have added in the pipeline. This is my Jenkins server. Let me start Jenkins as well. Start Jenkins. Here actually, environment variables, I'll have build server, deploy server just for test purpose, and then the image name as such I'm having, right? But now here I'm using image name and build number separate variables. If you want, you can also use that way. That is better because here I'm using build number also included here. Um, if I separate this, let me remove it here. Image name is only repository name. And by the way, I should also have access key, secret access key in the environment variables. This will be stored in the credential store. Once my Jenkins server is created, I'll store them in the credential store. Then this is how you call them, credentials and the ID of the credentials. Okay, unit test, package, all these jobs, code review, code coverage, Dockerize it. Here is the difference now. Image name means here also that makes a difference. I'm passing only image name. I should pass separately build number as well, two variables. For those to interpolate correctly, login image name will be dollar missing. Right? That is your image name actually. And then if that is the image name, it makes difference here as well. And then here in the script, we are passing two variables, colon $2, right? So Docker build, this is the repository name, colon tag name. Let me build this and see. First, let us add these files, new Kubernetes manifest folder and the file. Kubernetes stage added. Git push horizon, Kubernetes demo. Oh, Okay, already seems there is a branch there. Let me check out a new branch, or you have to resolve the conflicts. It's up to you. Okay, that is the branch. And one more thing, we have to correct, we have to add the build server, deploy server as well, right? We'll do that as well. Meanwhile, cluster is getting created. It should be almost ready by now. Okay, here you can see to come to the cluster. It says cluster is created and active. Just come to the resources. See here you can see all the pods, replica set, deployments. You can see from here also if you go to compute. Node is still creating, node group is still getting created. Do you see it is still in creating state? It is taking some time. Nodes, node is not up yet. Okay, let us wait for some more time. Meanwhile, we'll get the backend things ready. Okay, let's launch our Jenkins. Jenkins should be ready by now. Pipeline Jenkins file is ready. So this is where we are trying to launch our Jenkins. We have to store the credentials. We have to create two build server, one build server and deploy server. Let me launch those two. One will be build server and the other one will be deploy server. Amazon 2, T2 Micro. Key pair is AWS. Okay. Launch. Something went wrong. 1 second. You have requested more vCPU than the instance bucket specified instances belongs to. I think the limit is no more. You have requested more vCPU capacity than the current vCPU limit of instances. Just a second. One for now.
We can terminate any other used one and
We need all of these instances. Actually, it's because of the limit. It's no more on the free tier. So that's the reason it's giving error. Let me terminate the slave one. Okay, first let EKS service also come up. I mean, EKS worker nodes also come up and we'll do this. Okay, I'm terminating them. Or else we might have created in another region. Let the worker node come up first. Seems some problem. Okay, meanwhile, we'll be storing the credentials where access key and secret access key also I'm using. So go to credential store and the credentials, username and password type or some ID. This is the ID we use in the environment variables also. So let me use this ID. Also, it's not username, password type, secret text because I'm storing them separately. So you know how to get this access key, secret access key, right? So get those credentials. Actually, this is my Mac. I already configured them here. Exceeded maximum wait time. Some problem creating the worker nodes, and that's the error. Failed to create the cluster. Because it is already there, it will give me this error. I have to clean up this. Or else I'll just append this. Some problem creating EKS instances. Maybe I should clear off my. Just a second. Any pending bills, if there should be cleared off, or you should terminate the and clean up and bring the instances within the limit. Just give me a second, please. I'm storing these credentials here. One more. Secret text. Actually, this is the one we should use. Right? Whatever you give the ID, that should be used here as a secret access. Okay, these two are ready. From Jenkins side, it is good. Let's see the cluster now. It is still creating it. Hopefully it should work. Meanwhile, I'll also check my So creating the cluster, like I told you, cluster creation will take some time, and also your account should be on the good terms. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can go on. Meanwhile, the cluster gets created. I'm clearing off the dues. Any questions from anyone?
Pradeep, one question. So you are creating the cluster in EKS manually, right?
Hmm.
That is a one thing. And also you are updating the kube config to connect the cluster on any server, right? Like whichever the server you are doing that.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Well, so whenever we need
Yeah.
to
Tell me.
So whenever we need to increase any nodes or like increase any pods in that nodes, so again we need to connect CLI and run the commands, or like manually also we can do the changes.
Yes.
Okay.
See, the cluster is getting ready. Node group is ready. If you see here, node group with one node. This is nothing but EC2 instance. I have created T2 medium one, a bigger one. And here you can see this is your cluster. Okay, it just pops in, comes up. Here also you can see that. Okay, see, this is your worker node. This is your cluster actually. One worker node I have started. This is your Jenkins server, right? So it is good. See, this is your EC2 instance. If you just go to, it will take you to the EC2 console only. Got it, everyone? Cluster is created. Okay, this is your cluster, the new cluster, which was created 9 minutes back. Compute, if you see, which one is the one we created? Test one. Hmm. Okay, already the before cluster is ready, I think. Test cluster is ready by now. Test cluster is ready. Test one is still getting created. Let me check if we connect to the test cluster. So firstly, coming here, I'll terminate this later. So we have created cluster from local. Here in the kube config should be updated is what I told, right? So you should be seeing, you should be able to see that here. I don't see kube config is created, but just a second. It might be updated. kubectl, when you connect, it will be. Nodes, you are having multiple clusters, so it's not available because whenever your cluster is created successfully, it will also create the kube config file. It's not created for test one. So, sorry, test cluster is still pending here. Okay, test one. Test one is still going on, like it's being created. So let's wait. It will create the kube config file. Let's suppose, okay, it will not create. We can create it with the one command. The command is this one, EKS update command. Just a second.
We can create root config for test cluster now.
So in the Jenkins file, we have added this command, right? EKS update command. Of course, you should do AWS configure on your local machine also from wherever you are doing it. And then AWS EKS update. This command will create a kube config file. So EKS, actually it will create whenever you create it, like whenever you create the cluster, but somehow as the creation got terminated, let me create this way manually. AP South 1. Name of the cluster. EKS update kube config. It will update the kube config. Well, name is EKS test cluster. Perfect. Now you check that dot cube. Okay, check this config. It should be added here, right? Do you see this? Okay, test cluster configurations added. Now let's see if you can connect. kubectl get nodes. Yes, perfect. Okay. So from my laptop, yeah, because I have created anywhere, actually because you created here, it should create automatically kube config file, but it missed because of last minute terminating the command. But now, yes, this is my cluster. I'm ready with the test cluster. I'll remove additional clusters because this is not a free service. Let me terminate this one. You can also delete from here EKS, CTL, delete cluster. Name of the cluster is EKS test. This is very important. You should create from here rather than the console so that it will terminate all the components it has spawned. AP South 1. Okay, it will take care of that deletion, but we have one more cluster. This is our active cluster. Okay, fine. Let us deploy some pods. Yes, you can do apply -F, anything you can do, right? So once you are able to connect to cluster, we have learned all of this, what to do. Now I would like to do the same from Jenkins server. Okay, let's connect to Jenkins server. This is our Jenkins server. If you remember, some time back we installed kubectl here. So what if you try to connect here? Obviously, you cannot connect because we don't have .cube folder, right? You have to copy that and create it, or else I will use AWS EKS update kube config. First of all, you should do AWS configure here because authentication should be there, right? To connect from the CLI. So, okay, it is already there on this Jenkins server. Now, AWS EKS update kube config. Region is AP South 1. Name is, the name of the cluster is EKS test cluster. Unknown option. Okay, typo. Region. It is ready. You can see that kube config file ready for authentication. Okay, now I can connect from this Jenkins kubectl get nodes. Perfect. Get pods, apply commands, anything you can do, right? But now I would like to do it from Jenkins. Am I making sense now? Everyone, is this much clear for all of you?
You're
So,
just doing the kube config on the server, right? Priti?
yes. So I'm doing that from the script itself because I'll be running the script as a Jenkins server. As a Jenkins server, also you should have that kube config file created. So the cluster name is test cluster, right? That's all. And I think everything is looking good. One more thing is adding the deploy server and build server. Let's go there.
Priti, Jenkins file, on which server this kube config is going to get?
On the Jenkins server itself, on the master
Oh,
itself.
okay.
You should know here, where are you running? Agent any and directly I'm running. I'm not using SH agent or any agent label, so it will run directly on master. If you want, you can do on any other machine also.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, two more instances. Okay, this should be terminating test one. Okay. Meanwhile, I need two more instances. See, other node group one also is ready. It's okay. T2 micro key pair is AWS. Two instances. I just cleared the dues, that's all. Minimum amount is there for me where I use EKS instances. I cleared the dues, so it could successfully launch them. So let me name one as build server, other one as deploy server. Okay, this will go off with this terminate command. I run EKS delete test cluster. Test one should be going away. Okay. All right. So now
In
we'll
server.script, right?
in the Jenkins file. Come here to the Jenkins file, update the build servers private IP, and then deploy servers private IP. Now, git commit minus -am EKS deployment. And any corrections there, we'll come back and do it. But let us push this down. Anything else miss? We'll see. And by the way, I'm deploying two pods. Oh, by the way, Docker key should be there, right? This secret should be available to pull the private image, but I can do it manually because it's a one-time task. You may do it from wherever machine, whichever machine you can connect. I can connect from Jenkins server. I can do that from anywhere. I should be able to do it. Correct? From wherever you connect, you can do it. So let me create this one. I think I already have config.json. Let me go to .docker. Config.json. Oh, it's having, see, it's having three authentications. ECR, Docker Hub, JFrog. But we should have only that particular config. So I'm just deleting config.json. Now if I do Docker login, it will prompt for the credentials. It will create a fresh one with only this particular set. I think it is incorrect. Okay, fine, great. So now let's create a secret. Because I can create from here, I can connect to the cluster from here. Secret, generic, Docker key from file .docker config JSON. And the location of this is .docker config.json. Type of it is docker config.json. I can see from Jenkins server, but I would also prefer doing it from my local machine. This is my local Mac, local machine, get secrets. Obviously, it is same. Now let us run the pipeline. Now let's go to the pipeline. What is our pipeline earlier? I think it is demo. Docker demo. Just seeing what stages we have. Dockerize and test cluster. Okay, now let me create another pipeline, or you can just change the branch name there just for style.
Pipeline, right?
Hmm? Louder, please, or else keep muted if you are not talking to me. Branch is Kubernetes. Test demo, right? I have given it as test demo. Let me confirm the branch name. Yes, test demo. Okay, build it and see what happens. What happened? Skipping it. Kubernetes test demo.
So you have taken freestyle or we want to take pipeline?
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. I have taken the freestyle one. Let me delete this. My bad. Kubernetes demo. Test demo. So finally, CI/CD pipeline with deployment on EKS. Let's wait. See, do you see two commands were going? Two variables were passed, positional parameters. First one is the repository name and the tag name is one because it's build number one. So on the build server, it should be building. You can see that it will create an image and the same should be deployed. Oh, sorry, I might have changed the branch, but for build, because it is same, it should be fine. In the script, here is the correction. Kubernetes test demo. This should be parameterized branch name so that we don't need to change each time. And here is where it has to push. It was deploying on the test cluster. Later on, it should deploy into Kubernetes. Yeah. So now it failed here, an error occurred. See, creating this cluster, whenever it's creating cluster, it failed because the cluster name is incorrect. EKS test cluster, right? Oh, let me correct this. If test cluster is not, this cluster is not found. My bad. Okay. Test EKS test cluster. Let me re-trigger this. But by then image might have been pushed. Image push doesn't happen here. Java, Maven, private repos. Oh, okay. I am not using private repositories. Java, Maven, private repos. Image name is add book. I'm pushing into add book. Not to private repository. But private repository is the right thing to do. I'm pushing into this. Right tag one. Let me do one thing. Let me abort this pipeline. Let's come here. Java, Maven, private repos. Right? So that we can publish onto private repositories. Let's check the name is correct. Java, Maven, private repos. Typo. Java, Maven, private repos. Okay. Let me rerun this now. This was skipped again due to some other error. Which stage it failed? Let's see. Stages, Dockerized stage itself failed. Dockerized stage failed means Okay, maybe this connectivity authentication might be incorrect. That's the reason. Let us check settings file. Okay, I have this document, this one correct only. So maybe authentication, it might have been expired. Yeah, see, that's the reason. You have to create one more account and fix this. No, free trial is completed. That's the reason. See, if anyone running out of time, you can feel free to leave the webinar and you can watch the recording. But if you are good, you can stay back. We'll create a new account. We'll change those URLs because that's where it failed. From free trial. Is it for me or for everyone? Why is it giving me this? J from 14 days it expires. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a new account. And I'm trying to click on free trial. It's giving me 502 errors. Yeah, with a different account only I'm trying to create. jfrog.com and then free trial. It's not taking me there. Maybe start free.
Yeah, Preeti, last time it expired for me also. And I'm
Yeah, it
doing,
will expire for 14
but
days.
yeah,
Yeah.
but when I tried to create, it did
Mm,
not create again. So I'm not
okay.
sure. So afterwards, I did not get to explore that. I just
Okay.
uncommented
The
it.
thing
Yeah.
might be, it might be storing with the old ones, right? That's why we have to log out from this one, the previous page which I created as such, and we have to do. We have
Yeah,
to.
but again, settings and everything will change.
Hmm. Okay, I may comment it for now in the code. I should comment this part. Jenkins file. Building the image. During the image build, the settings, sorry, we should not run this command. Only package should do. Okay, for now, I'll comment this out. Okay, better I'll do it from local and push it. Okay, I'm just commenting out this part. Okay, that should work. So for now, I'm not publishing onto JFrog. Okay, we should create a new account and set this out. Let me retrigger this. Artifact will not be published on JFrog. Let's see now. Okay, you can see that it is successful now, right? But of course, because they were not ready, it was still container creating state. We did get all at that point. Let's see now. Okay, let's come to our local machine or Jenkins server, whatever is convenient for you. This is my local machine. kubectl get pods. Of course, error image pullback off. Okay, we'll see what went wrong. kubectl describe deployment. Deployment happened, but it went wrong with the image. What is the image that's being used? Java Maven private repos 4. Is secret not used? kubectl get secret. It is Docker key is the secret used. Describe pod Maven private repos 4. Repository doesn't exist or insufficient authentication. Let me check if there is any typos here. Name is correct. Tag name is 4. It is also correct. DEVOPS trainer. This is also correct. Means the key is incorrect. Connecting to the server again. Docker config JSON, Docker config.json type. Docker key. Okay, we are using it. Image name, build number are used. Secret is created, secret is used. What's wrong with the secret? Create secret generic Docker file, Docker config JSON, root to Docker config JSON, config.json, Docker key created. Login did not succeed. Do you see this? But somehow earlier it was successful. Main secret is incorrect. As far as I remember, it said login succeeded. Incorrect username and password. First Docker should be started here. Okay. Okay. Login succeeded only. Config JSON. Maybe let me try now. Creating a secret. But how does it make difference? Just recreating it. Okay, some problem with the secret. So I have just created the secret again and deleted the old parts. They were running. Okay, if you see there, it should be running the describe pod. It should be running the image which we deployed, not a random one, right? Which is perfectly replaced. env subs have replaced this variable with the values, right? So it was as perfect as that. This is one thing. And the other thing is the most important thing. We have created service of type load balancer. Earlier, it doesn't work for us, right? Like we are getting some error. and it is in the pending state, but now if you see the service, this is another important thing. See load balancer and it has got this external IP or a DNS, whatever it is. So now just come here. That is the actual endpoint of your service. AT and the endpoint is, you know, right? It's address book. So this is where, this is how it is. Is this much clear, everyone? Right? So this is your application. And by the way, what has it created? You don't need a separate load balancer, I told you, right? You can see the load balancers here. On the left-hand side, the load balancer is created, means it will use cloud native load balancer service. So you can see all the details here. The load balancer, and this is the DNS. Right? And load balancers are charged separately. These are not a free service. It is charged one. So you should be careful using it. Clear, everyone? This is the DNS that is generated, which we are using to host our application. Any questions? That's a complete CI/CD pipeline deploying onto Kubernetes cluster. These are the different stages. Compiling, unit testing, Dockerizing, testing it on a standalone mode, and then deploying it on a Kubernetes cluster, EKS. So CI/CD on EKS. Any questions from anyone in this part?
So testing on build server, deploying on the deploy server.
Yes, this is deploying onto a deploy server, this one.
So just we created all these cluster, everything we have done through Jenkins pipeline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions from anyone? So this is about CI/CD on EKS. So execute this from your end, do the hands-on. Tomorrow we'll look into the auto scaling part.
But anyway, this is started, right? So is there any other way to using EKS we cannot write?
Other way to use EKS?
Because this is a paid service, right? So if we want to create cluster, definitely we have to create in the console itself. There is no other.
Use Kubernetes cluster.
You paid.
This is not the only way. You have other methods which we have seen, so you can also do that. So one more thing, for sure, delete your clusters once you are done. EKSCTL, delete cluster. Name of the cluster is EKS test, and region is AP South 1. Okay, I'm just deleting the cluster. Do the hands-on. Any questions, get back to me. Okay, that's all for today. We'll continue tomorrow. Thank you all. Bye, everyone. Good day.